Hey, what you do? What's going on? Trying to sound like my friend. This is Angela Harris coming to you live and in full color. Sitting next to me is the beautiful, absolutely beautiful Keya Matthews. Pleasure of having the opportunity to meet her. Not only is she beautiful, which we tend to as a society comment on all the time. Oh my God, but she is intelligent. She is thoughtful. She is on the forefront. She's on the cutting edge. She is an executive. She is a successful woman. She is the whole package, right? And you know that we've been having conversations about what society has decided is beautiful, and how we are living our lives based upon that, and how unfortunate it is because beauty comes in so many different arrays. And I think, Keya, part of being beautiful is the confidence
For sure.
that a woman has, that a guy can meet you and you can be attractive and be an airhead, if you would.
100%. 100%. Yeah, beauty is for like initial attraction. Like what's on the inside is really what matters when it comes to like having a deeper connection and longevity, for sure.
You know, I was saying to Keya that once again, when we talk about the size, when we talk about what is considered, back in the day when we look at stewardesses and things like that, older movies and things like that, we didn't have this size 0 and size 2 and 3. I mean, it really was regular women wearing size 10 and size 12. I mean, it was really the norm. And all of a sudden, we've gotten to some place where I think that women who want a relationship, women who want to connect with that male, feel like they can't because they don't have that look. I'm going to give my own personal example. So I've recently really been on a journey for my own physical. I wanted to be healthy. Mm-hmm. So I was at a 22 and I've come down to a 16 since the beginning of the year. But I laugh sometimes that I would walk in a room, and if I was the heaviest person in the room, I could not have any fun. I was so conscious of that. It was such a bad thing because growing up, it was, so even then, even though the movies had it and stuff, growing up, I was chastised. I was ridiculed. There were songs made about the fat girls, and the fat girls didn't get to dance at school. I was so happy when the bus stop and the bus stop came out, and the other one, but it was funny, I can't remember. But you didn't have to have a dance partner. So at the school dances, I could go on the dance floor because I didn't need somebody to actually ask me. My question in all this is, I have friends who tell me, girl, if you was in the South, they would eat you up, right? Mm-hmm. I live on the superficial West Coast, right? Right. Different energy. Do I move to the South, or how do I make the transition or acceptance of I'm in a superficial environment?
Right. Well, I mean, I think there's definitely a standard of beauty that's being pushed out today, right? And it's unrealistic. Like, even the women we see don't really look like that. So I think it comes down to like confidence, like you were saying, and like really loving yourself, like regardless. No, I don't think you need to move. I think the world needs to love you as you are. But it comes down to like you loving yourself first. And like, I think you having that confidence will attract the right type of people that are not so concerned about like, do you meet this standard of beauty? It's more so like, who are you on the inside? That's really important, you know what I mean, when it comes to like building any type of relationship.
100%. So you're in LA, mm-hmm. beautiful capital of the world, right?
Yeah. And
so you're out there. What is your encounter in the opposite sex?
So, I try to stay away from them. But I mean, I think like, I definitely get like attraction from guys or whatever. I'm pretty selective with like who I give my time to and things like that. Like there's certain things I'm looking for in men, and I'm just kind of at a stage where like, I'm not going to have someone just to have someone. Like, I'd much rather be alone.
So that old adage, a piece of man is better than no man, is not true.
It's not true at all. Like, you can keep the peace. Like, I'll stay over here by myself for sure. Like, it's either I have all of you or none of you type of thing. But I think I approach dating a little differently than a lot of like younger people out here nowadays. Like I would much rather be by myself than like have a situationship or something like that. That doesn't really interest me.
Situationship.
A
That's a new
situationship.
word for me. So when you talk about you'd rather be alone, is that um, a goal going forward? I know that we had a conversation that you were interested in having children, right? So what does that mean in you would rather be alone?
So, I mean, like I'll date and things like that, but if I think you know very early on whether a situation has potential or it doesn't. And I think I'm just at a stage in my life where I don't plan on putting time into a situation I know has no potential, right? Like I think as women, we know like pretty early on, like whether or not this has the potential to grow. And even with that, I can find someone or meet someone I think that does have potential. But if you can see that that person is not ready, then that's also like a red flag to say like, okay, like maybe this person isn't the one. And it's like it's fine, like go on dates and like get to know people and things like that. But it's like as soon as you know, okay, this is not going anywhere, there's no reason to continue.
I've mentioned before that there are three reasons for people being in your life. One is a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? And I have said, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this, is that if we compartmentalize, we can protect ourselves. If I meet this guy, and as you said, I know early on that this is not really going anywhere. There is no longevity here, but he's good to like go out with sometimes, maybe even, spend intimate time with him. But I understand it's not going to go further than that. So now I can't get hurt. I'm not going through some stuff. Then there may be a season where this person is in my life and I understand his role, right? His role may be that encouragement, that uplifting, some of that development, but it's not lifetime because you already seen the principles that you need. And then there are some that are a lifetime, but you know that's a lifetime. Yet you can't get to that lifetime until you've accepted them as the reason, the season, right, to get to the lifetime. So you've got to experience those things. Agreed?
For sure. Agreed.
So when I look at, I have this dating app, and I have been saying that's going to be coming out. It's called Non-Negotiable. And I think you're saying what I've been trying to say, and that I think is missing in the relationships are you are saying, I've assessed my life. I know what's important to me. I know what I value, and I know what I want. And so I'm going to date intentionally.
100%.
Right? I'm not going to date a year long and go, oh, I didn't know that about him or something like that. I'm going to, out the gate, we're going to have some engaging conversation, right?
Sure.
Do I even have a second date?
For sure. For sure. Like I try to skip that whole like initial phase with people when they're trying to present to me what they want me to see. Like I like to get to the nitty gritty. Like I want to know who you are, how you think, why you think that way, because that's how I bond and connect with people. Like I can't really I won't have the desire to have like a romantic relationship with you if I don't feel like I really know like who you are and what your values are. Like, and that's why like I take dating like very slow. Like we're going to go on a couple of dates. We're going to sit there and have conversation. If I can't talk to you, then I'm not going to let it continue further. Like I don't need someone to just like fill up space in my life if they're not giving me any type of value. Like, can I learn anything from you? Like where do you bring value? Like, because I think I can bring value into someone's life, and I want someone in my life that can bring value to me.
I have to really say, Keya, that I know that you are a limited edition. I like that. I just learned that new phrase today. That you are a limited edition. And I say it from this vantage point because you're thoughtful. You're saying that you know your worth. You're saying that you know your value. And you don't believe it takes 2-3 years for someone to acknowledge that worth, right?
100%.
That you're having a conversation and you're asking certain things that let them know they may not fully know your value, but in your general conversation, your initial conversation, you're going to say things and you're going to be looking for the response. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You agree with that?
For sure.
Okay. So we've been going around, and you are not the size 3, the size 5 girl.
Definitely
but
not.
As I said, you're stunningly gorgeous. And this is my contention. I was having it with Kendall, and I was saying, we were talking about society, and I was saying that we have mental depression issues and things of that nature where people don't establish their own personal worth. And you're saying that the worth is important. So when I look at you, I am like, she's all that. And somebody would be, just in our conversation, we spent some time prior to doing this piece on video, but we spent time talking, and you were captivating everybody in the room with just dialogue, with questions that were asked. And as you said, I value me. I have established a value and a worth on me that no one gets to define or take away from you.
For sure. And that's a journey though, right? Like that's not something that you just wake up like overnight. Like you've said, like I've dealt with my own like mental health issues and depressions and things like that, even as close as like last year. You know what I'm saying? And that self-love and like mental health and all that, it's a journey. It's not like a straight line. You're gonna have ups and downs, you're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have good days. But I think when it comes to like when you really take the time to get to know yourself and like really understand what you want, there's certain things you just won't tolerate or accept, you know?
So interesting point on that. So we talk about the male species. What happens with your female interactions, your friendships and things like that? How does that maneuver? Are you also drawn to women that tend to be like-minded, or do you have a cadre of, respectfully ladies, airhead, thoughtful, giving up? What is your...
So I'm blessed with my friend group. Like I have a lot of close girlfriends. There's like 4 or 5 of us that have our like little group, and like we're all very like strong-minded like women, and it's like we approach things differently sometimes, and we've had disagreements and things like that, but I think we do a good job of like holding each other accountable and like letting each other know when we're messing up. Like for example, like if my friend sets a boundary and she crosses that boundary, me as a friend, it's like, okay girl, like you said that's what you weren't going to do, and then you did it, type of thing. Like just staying on each other in that sense. Like I could say I'm very blessed to have like a good group of friends that like they've seen me at my very like darkest moments, lowest moments, and they never left me even when I wasn't being the best friend or the best version of myself. So I'm very blessed to have that, for sure.
Tolerance and mercy from a friend, huh? That didn't just totally judge you, but that stood out. So remember the movie Waiting to Exhale? Mm-hmm. I've never had that. Okay. And so I think that was one thing that I said that it would be so cool as a woman to really have, and you sound like you have your Waiting to Exhale group, that there was a group of women that I would meet with on a regular, and I'm always saying it in San Diego, so I don't know if I'm not thoroughly, gravitating towards it, but I'm always saying, to someone, we should get together. We should meet once a month. We should, like just talk and support each other. And sometimes with the draw of relationships, friendships, work, we live in a state that the cost of living is so high, sometimes it can feel like you're drowning, and that you're kind of like, how do I come up out of this? Mm-hmm. How do I do this? And you mentioned worth. How did you identify your worth? What were the steps that you went through where you could stand on your truth, that this is your truth?
For sure. I mean, I think just like a lot of like self-reflection, like a lot of journaling and things like that. And like, because I think all of us, we have things about ourselves that we don't like, or we would like to change, or things that like hold us back and things like that. And like really sitting down and like identifying those things, but then also like praising the things that we are good at and that do make us like who we are, like our character and things like that. Like we are one of a kind, you know what I mean? And I think just like celebrating who we are as a person, I think if you can get to love the things about yourself that you like, but also love the things about yourself that you wish were different. I think when you get into that stage where it's like, I love me, I love all of me, the good, the bad, the ugly, like I'm going to be my best friend, like I'm going to be the rock for myself. I think like once you get to that mental state of like, it doesn't, if it doesn't matter what I do and God always loves me, like who am I to not love myself? You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Like, and I think just like, as far as like for me, like me building my relationship with God and things like that have helped me get to a place to where I can love myself unconditionally. Because that's not something that was necessarily taught to me, but it's something I've learned through adulthood.
Interesting. Girl, you opened up my door. You brought in the Almighty. You brought in God. You brought in, I stand, and thank you for that. And I stand in absolute agreement. It is very interesting world that we dwell in, because you have all these different religions, and we're respectful that, at the end of the day, everyone's going to find out who was standing on the right path. And that's all that I ever say. You'll find out which of us was on the right path. But help me to know, does your nucleus have that same particular piece, or do you stand alone in your group on that thought process about God?
I would say yes and no, right? Like one of my closest friends, we both are like very on top of like going to church and studying the Bible and things like that. But then I have other friends that's not really their lifestyle, and it's like it's fine. I accept them for who they are. I don't like to like push the agenda. Like I always just speak from my place and what I know to be true, and whatever you know to be true for yourself that's on you. You know what I mean? But like I don't shy away or like hold back on like how I feel and like my spirituality and things like that. Like I just try to be an example for the other people around me.
It's so interesting because when we were coming up, so I'm 30 years older than you. How about that? That, we went to church, right? Mm-hmm. And it was something your parents put you out there and stuff. And society has there have been some adjustments, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's not necessarily individual truths, and with so many things, social media that's out there, all of the conspiracy theorists, all of the different things that are out there, the people are being pulled so many different ways. I have some nieces that wouldn't get vaccinated because of what their thoughts were in reference to that. So we really kind of have a different kind of world of thought process, of energy, and then you're trying to create this melding pot of how do I exist within and maybe stay apart from all of the controversy? How do I go into the workplace and the different politics, right? That associate it? Are you on the Republican side? Are you on the Democratic side? Are you on side? Are you on, and so on and so forth? And yet you're trying to remain neutral so that you don't create harm within the workplace, right, for yourself. Right. Now you're not being considered for this position. Mm-hmm. Oh, you didn't say the right thing. So how about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the word that comes to mind when you say that is like so easy to trigger someone. And it's like, for me, I do my best and I try to be like respectful. But at the end of the day, like I have to walk in my truth. And it's like, it's not my intention to offend anyone. And I'm like, I don't really run into that issue like a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I think there are things that like happen, like in like the trans community or something, or you say something wrong. Like everyone is you're walking on eggshells all the time. But I think it's important for you to just like stand up in who you are and just have to own that. And like, that doesn't mean you're not going to be able to please everyone. You know what I mean?
And not even being mean, not even being rude or out there and stuff like that. But it's like you said, to be able to hold on to my truth. You should be able to hold on to your truth, and I should be able to hold on to mine. And as long as I am not coming for you, as long as I am not being negative to you, as long as I am not sitting out here and proclaiming something from a perspective that it is creating harm. Right. That's not, we're not even called to do that, right? We're supposed to be the light. We're supposed to be the salt. We're just supposed to live the truths as I share with my niece on a regular basis. Anytime we have had a conversation about something that she felt a challenge with, I would take out the Bible. I said, well, let's just see what God says about that, right? So my niece knows, regardless of whatever road or path that she goes down, that is my truth. And I told her that even though she has friends or people who go the opposite of that truth, and I embrace them, hug them, see them, and love on them, because it's not, Paul said we're to judge those inside of the church, not outside of the church. That's God's job. So I don't get into that. And at the end of the day, don't take away my ability to be true to me. Exactly. Right? Exactly. And true to what I believe. You can't discount me because you don't agree with it. Right. Especially if I'm not discounting you because I don't agree with you.
Exactly. Two things can be true at the same time.
100%. Two things can be true. So, tell me about, so you shared with me your breakdown, your ethnic breakdown, which, I always claim the Native American side. My heritage, because that's just a preference of mine. I kind of laugh at that. But you have German, you have Native American. Give me the other two.
Oh, it's just Black, Native American, and German.
Black, Native, okay. So you get to be like imitation of life, right? You get to, that's one of my favorite movies. You get to walk up in there and they don't necessarily know. How do you deal with colorism in your workplace and the fact that you can pass, right? In many ways, although we know we're like, okay, she a sister, right? Because I can see your hair, and I know that they're sister, but not necessarily everybody else. How does that interact with workplace and other women of color and their judgment or depiction of you?
Yeah, like I mean, I think there's a balance to everything, right? Like it's like I have to, me being who I am, I have to acknowledge my privilege, but also like celebrate my community. And I think just like finding that balance, like in the workplace, I think I've been very fortunate to like work for companies that are like diverse, and it's not like in like diverse as like men and women, like all different type of races and like backgrounds. I think I've been very fortunate with that. But I mean, I just try to like, like I just try to be me. Like I don't try to like press the agenda of like, I'm either or. I let you decide, but I am who I am like at the end of the day. And I think like as far as for me, like I do claim to be a part of the Black community, and I think like sometimes there's been definitely parts of my life where like I struggle with that or like acceptance on like either side, but like I think at the end of the day you have to do what feels right for you, and I think that's the community I've always been accepted in. I think contrary to popular belief, I think people look at me and think that I would just be like accepted by like the white community and things like that. That has not been my story at all. You know what I mean? So I think you can never judge a book by its cover. For sure.
100%.